The Books Cafe on KBC English Service. Reviews, interviews, and conversations with authors, literary critics, and book lovers.
Welcome to the Books Cafe, your literature program on KBC English Service. I'm your host, Hainga Okwemba. The Books Cafe is a cutting-edge program in the world of literature where we talk to writers and explore contemporary literary issues. And today, we have a very, very special guest in our studio, one of our colleagues here at Kenya Broadcasting Corporation, the Corporate Affairs Manager, Mrs. Evelyne Mwakina. But she comes onto the Books Cafe because she's also a writer. She wrote this wonderful book, her memoir, Breaking the Barriers. Did you get that? Breaking the Barriers, a memoir by Mrs. Evelyne Mwakina, the Corporate Affairs Manager at Kenya Broadcasting Corporation. Mrs. Mwakina, welcome on to the Books Cafe.
Thank you, Wanahainga.
Great. Now, Mrs. Mwakina, when and where were you born?
I was born in Kizumazi village, in a shopping center called Mwafunja from Taita Taveta County, and that is the place I was born. Mm-hmm. So I come from the Taita Taveta County. The place is called Weruga. That is the place I was born. From a family of 15, I'm the 10th born, and here I am. I joined KBC, having come from that background. Yes. So
being born in that environment, back in those days, what do you remember about your childhood?
I remember the cold weather and the hills. I remember that because that is what made me. As I said, I come from a large family, and what is special about my young days memories is the things we used to do. And therefore, I used to come all the way from Weruga near Yale Hills, go down to Nanyi, our shopping center, where we could do business, and the small business, because we needed to fend for ourselves. Having come from a background, can I call it poverty-stricken or with few resources, everybody had to take part. So I remember it for that. My early days were days with a lot of activities, be it at home, be it in school. I was also involved in a lot of games. I'm a sports person, and I think that is one of the things which people don't know maybe about me. I could run, and therefore we used to run up and down the hills, practicing also for games at primary school. So it was a chilly, calm environment. Then we had a lot of forest, and it was a place to enjoy life. Then we didn't know better, that it was maybe a better life. And that's how I remember my childhood.
You say that you were born in a very modest family.
Yes.
And then you say that doing business. Somebody reading your book, you say that when you are a little girl in school, sometimes you could actually sell some things.
I could do that to fend for myself, because my father was quite, as I've said, we were 15 of us, and I'm the 10th born. And each one of us had to do something to help themselves, whether in school, to get the basics which can take us to school. Like now the books, the exercise books, and the pens and the rubbers and whatever it is. So we needed to work an extra mile to be able to buy those things, because we could not afford. I don't know whether I should call it modest, but it was poverty, because even the uniforms we didn't have, and we didn't have shoes. We had to till the land. My father was a good man, because he would till the land and plant vegetables. Then anybody who was ready to go and sell to get the pocket monies that will require me to go to school, then we'd do that. So that's how the aspect of business comes in. So anybody who had a passion to do something and wanted to grow, there was that opportunity. But of course, he could not let for them to provide everything. We had to pull together. And this pulling together, you take your role as a child, as you have been directed. So you either choose to go and play, or choose to, after school, go and get the vegetables, maybe go and sell on Saturday. And sometimes it was hard, because you go walk so many kilometers, maybe 20 kilometers, all the way from Weruga to Nanyi to go and do the business, and you don't get anything. So you do better with maybe the guavas, the mangoes. Then I come and sell in my shopping center known as Mwafunja. If they don't get finished there, then I go to another called KBC shops in Weruga. So that's how the business aspect comes in.
And you remember you did this when you were how old?
I did this when I was less than 10, because I used also to sell to my teachers, and they saw in me that courage and that business aspect in me. So we'd go to class, but in the evening, I've got roles to go and play at home, whether to go and fetch water or firewood. and the rest, but still ensure that I get vegetables from my teachers who will send me to carry for them in the early morning to maybe be able to do one thing or another.
And anybody reading this book, your memoir, Breaking the Barriers,
yes,
will also discover that your mother was a very religious person and you are very close to your mother.
Yes.
And that is how, as a little girl, you also became very spiritual, if I could put it that way.
Exactly that.
Yes, yes.
Yes, as a young girl, when I was around 7-8 years, I used to follow my mother. My mother was quite religious. Her faith is what has made us be. And so I got attracted to her. And by God's grace, maybe I had an encounter with God himself. He ministered to me when I was at that age, around 7, when I was in standard 2 then. Through an incident, though I used to walk with my mother to fellowships, after doing my duties, but there was a crusade where now there was a preacher who came on board and who spoke to me, who spoke to the crowd. And that is when I realized, as young as I was a sinner. Of course, borrowing from the work of my mother and what she used to do, it taught me that there's a different way of life. Because having given birth to 15 of us, and they were able to feed us, and she was able to leave everything and to work, serve God, and ensure, together with my dad, to ensure that we are fed. And there was provision even that time. Though sometimes we used to go hungry, we used to even go to school and come back and find no food over lunch hour. But I realized there was power in her and in them as a couple, which was motivating them and giving them the energies. So when that crusade was there, an altar call was called, and I felt within my heart, something pushed me from within my heart, and I went in front and was prayed for. And that's when I got what we call salvation, knowing the Lord at a personal level and walking with him. And from that time, I kept on attending various crusades and various meetings with my mom, and I drew so much from her, which again, not only me, with also my other siblings, we were able to know that our mom's faith has kept us, and even to date, it is keeping us. So we keep hope alive that nothing is impossible, and that's why I was able to write this book, Breaking the Barriers. Breaking the Barriers.
Yes. We'll actually come to the title, why you chose that title, Breaking the Barriers.
Yes.
But so your mother, a very spiritual lady there back in the day, and your father was a strict disciplinarian.
Yes, he was.
Now, there's something also, somebody reading this book, something about your name, Evelyne Mwakina.
Yes.
If you could very briefly share.
I was named after a couple, my mother and father, the people who stood with them during their wedding. So they used to name us according to, can I say, the valueness of whoever they have interacted with. So I was named after a couple, the best couple for our parents, together with my elder brother, who is late now, God rest his soul in peace, Austin Mugendi. So we were named after that couple. So the wife of Austin Mugendi was Evelyne Mwakina, who I am now. I was named after. So that is how they were naming us.
And that is the family that, as a little girl, that is the only place that your parents could allow you to go and spend.
That is the only place they would allow me to go, and somehow they would trust those with us. Otherwise, as you have just said, my father was a disciplinarian. We never took anything or slept anywhere or ate anybody's food outside our home. So if you did that, if he gave instructions, this is what should be done, then it should be done. If it is not done, then you are punished. He will give you a base to move, but anything out of that, if you rebelled, then it is at your own peril. I'm saying so because even the discipline of not eating anyhow, even our own food in the house, yeah? If you read my book, there's a place I've mentioned my elder brother, one of my elder brothers, who took some, can I call it mahamri, without the knowledge of my parents. But when we were taking tea, it's when now they realized that one is missing. And my brother had to tell them that it is me, so he took his tea without, but he was lucky because he confessed his sin and he was forgiven. But of course the punishment was when everybody was swallowing something with the tea, he didn't do that. So he wanted his children to be straight, he wanted his children to do the right thing. And I think also it comes from his background. He was the only son of my grandmother, and therefore he was protected, and he wanted also to protect us from many other ills in the society. Because if I may go further, is to say he was the only son, not because there were no other sons which were born, but because they were dying. And therefore my father is Elisha Owaka, meaning, if I may say, a girl child, because the mother concealed his gender because he wanted him to survive for fear of maybe him dying because of either witchcraft and something like that, or bad omen. So he grew up being protected, and he wanted to protect us, I think.
If you are just tuning in, this is the Books Cafe on KBC English service, and I'm your host, Khainga Okwemba. Our guest today, the Corporate Affairs Manager at Kenya Broadcasting Corporation, Mrs. Evelyne Mwakina, who comes on to this program because she's a writer. She's the author of this wonderful memoir, her own personal story, Breaking the Barriers. That is the title of the memoir by Mrs. Evelyne Mwakina. Now, Mrs. Evelyne,
yes,
I would want you to read just a little bit of this memoir, Tracing My Origin.
Yes.
Page 1.
The whole of that page?
Yes. You have a beautiful quote there by Maya Angelou, the famous African-American poet, which says that every individual's origin story, from the womb to the world, is a tapestry woven with the threads of heritage, culture, and resilience. That is Maya Angelou. I want you to read.
Yes. So I can read. I was born in Kizumanzi village, Mofunja, nestled within the rich fabric of Veruga in Taita Taveta County in Kenya's Upper Coast region. My birthplace rests at the base of the Yale Hills, which offers a captivating backdrop to my early years, situated approximately 43 kilometers away from Voi, the largest town in the county. Our village holds historical significance as a commercial hub dating back to colonial times. Voi itself derives its name from the renowned Kamba slave trader, Chief Kivoi, who settled there nearly 4 centuries ago. I was born in a family of 15 siblings, comprising 8 girls and 7 boys. To Elisha Wawaka Mwaisaka, also known as Veta, and Florence Zila Muhoi Mwamidi, raised in a typical rural Taita household, I experienced the challenges of growing up amidst poverty and limited access to healthcare facilities. In those times, the nearest health center was situated 20 kilometers away, leading to the reliance on village midwives for most deliveries, including my own.
Now, Mrs. Mwakina, let's talk a little bit about your education. You've just painted the picture of the place where you were born in Taita Taveta County. So, where did you go to school?
I went to Mdondonyi Primary School near Yale Hills, and that's where I did my then standard 1 to standard 7. For my high school, I went to Voi Secondary.
It was a mixed school?
It was a mixed school, but due to health problems, then I transferred, I think it is a year, I transferred to Mary Girls High School.
So from Form 2 you went to Mary
Girls High School. So I could not live at Voi because I think having come from the hills and the place was cold, then I could not stand the heat at Voi.
So you transferred to Mary Girls High School. That's where you did your Form 4?
Yeah, my Form 4, O levels. Then after O levels, God was gracious. I went to Moi Girls Eldoret, where I did my Form 5 and 6. And after Form 5 and 6, I went to KU to do my BA. After BA, after I graduated, I joined KBC 1990. While I was still doing my work as a translator in the newsroom, I did my postgraduate diploma in journalism.
We'll come to that. I want to hold you a little bit. Moi Girls High School Eldoret.
Yes.
That is where you did your A levels.
Yes.
And that school was actually modeled to the British public schools.
Yes.
Which in essence prepared students to be, public servants, if I could put it that way. I'm looking for the particular page in the book.
Moi Girls has got its own story because after Mary Girls, I really wanted to go to Moi Girls. Following my best friend at primary school was a Moi Girls student. And she told me of the good things you are talking about. It was a good public school with the British system, and it taught good manners, equipment, and everything. So I desired to go there. The food was good, the sanatorium, and everything was good. So I desired to go there after my Form 4. And because it was also a national school, so they would get people across the country. So I thought I can get it, but as it was not one of the top students. So somehow my headmistress wanted me not to go there. But by God's grace, I cannot really say what happened because my headmistress had already said he'll get me out of it, but somehow I managed to get it then. I got the marks and I got the school I wanted. And that's why I'm talking about breaking the barriers, that if you have the passion and the motivation or you desire to get something, you can get it. Nature will, or God himself will ensure that you get it. You have to dream, you have to have an agenda in your life and say, have a work plan, say what do you want to achieve. And somehow if you're focused with discipline and focusing on your goals, then you're able to achieve it. The days leading up to my enrollment at Moi Girls High School, Eldoret, page 81, chapter 7, High School Journey. Moi Girls High School, initially called Highlands. So Moi Girls High School, initially called Highlands Girls High School, has a historical legacy that can be traced back to the colonial era. It shares a historical connection with other prominent institutions of that time, such as Lenana High School and the Nairobi School, formerly known as the Prince of Wales. During their early establishments, these schools had enrollment policies that primarily served the children of white settlers and colonial administrators, reflecting the social dynamics of that period. For girls, there were schools such as Kenya High and Limuru Girls. During the colonial era, large tracts of fertile land were designated as highlands for the white settlers, where reserves were allocated to the majority black population. These schools operated with relative autonomy, having governing bodies responsible for teacher recruitment and student admissions. When I enrolled at Moi Girls High School in 1985, I encountered a diverse community of Kenyan girls representing various ethnic backgrounds. The school had undergone Africanization while remaining true to its foundational principles of character, service, and Christian values. We were taught to prioritize collective welfare over personal interests, to embrace humility, and to strive to become exemplary citizens dedicated to serving our country. Moi Girls did not only shape my perspective on public service, but also ignited a lifelong passion for self-dedication to others. The commitment to service began within my family and extended to my community, workplace, and society as a whole. In my subsequent years of professional life, I gravitated towards roles that allowed me to serve others in the best of my abilities. Currently, as a corporate affairs manager, I find immense fulfillment in serving both internal and external clients, and the positive feedback I receive fuels my aspirations. This spirit of service extends to my village, family, church, and every social interaction I engage in. The invaluable lessons learned at Moi Girls continue to shape my actions and ambitions. I'm eternally grateful to God for the incredible opportunity to attend Moi Girls High School in Eldoret within the breathtaking Rift Valley region.
Wow, that is Moi Girls.
That is Moi Girls, yes.
Yeah, you are taught service.
Yes.
You are taught to prioritize collective welfare over personal interests.
Yes.
To embrace humility.
Yes.
And to strive to become exemplary citizens dedicated to serving your country.
Yes, and that's what I strive to do. It gives me a lot of joy when I achieve that.
Wow, that's Moi Girls.
That is Moi Girls. So Moi Girls has contributed to what I am. Because those are the things, the virtues that we are taught. And the headmistress then, Cherabos, was very tough and a disciplinarian.
Wow.
May God rest her soul in peace. But she taught us to be what I've just read.
So you are there for your Form 5 and 6?
Yes, 2 years.
2 years. And then from there now you proceeded to Kenyatta University?
Yes.
Yes.
I proceeded to Kenyatta University, where I did my Bachelor of Arts degree in English, Kiswahili, and Philosophy in Religious Studies.
And then from there?
From there, I got a job with KBC as a translator now. From the university. So I got a job at our news and editorial department. So I started as a translator, now translating English bulletins to Kiswahili, and I grew through the ladders there then to be the head of radio, which later now I transferred.
Head of radio translation.
I was supervisor of translation unit or desk, but later on I became the head of radio. There's always head of radio, head of TV
in the newsroom.
Nowadays we call them managing editors. Yes.
So when you joined KBC those many years,
yes,
how was newsroom like?
Newsroom was a good place to be, but a tough place at the same time. The same way newsrooms are very vibrant. You have to think on your toes. You have to be smart. You have to be fast. So we used to work in shift late at night. There are 3, I think, shifts. In the morning, and one starts at around 4 there.
Mm-hmm.
So you had to be on top of the current affairs, know what is happening in and outside the country, so that you're able to match or to give people what is there and what is fresh. But our newsroom, again, at the same time, we had to ensure that we promoted cohesion in the country. So even as a head of radio or a head in the newsroom, you needed to do your research properly, to carry stories that will bring communities in Kenya together, not to separate them or not to bring any confusion, as it were. And that is the role of a national broadcaster. So that is what we used to do. And in the newsroom, again, we used to work closely with PPU, Presidential Press Unit. And that is one of the areas I was also working with. And I remember there was a time I could come for, we used to call them dawn shifts. You enter the newsroom maybe 2 a.m., 3 a.m. in the morning, and you check out at around 10 a.m. But after checking out at 10 a.m., then there was a special assignment which maybe I needed to go and do at State House as a translator. So you go and translate special programs. I cannot remember what the names were, but we used to do special programs that would run. So that means you extend. You're just from dawn, you have not even taken a shower, you go to State House and we'll be returning back home at 2, sometimes 4, because of the assignment that you're being given. But they would provide for lunch and many other things.
And when you say that you used to work at night, there were night shifts, what does that mean?
Night shift meaning you are picked from your home at 2 a.m. And they have to start early because there are various people, maybe people from the TV, the radios, those who work, open the stations. So there are many shifts. So you'll be picked from your house. We used to be escorted by the GSUs. So you are picked to come and do the works. And for you to be a supervisor at that time, you needed to be good enough to ensure that whatever you're going to carry in that bulletin, because you're the final person, in the morning, it is supposed to be in line with the policy, the editorial policy that was there then.
Wow. I want you to read something about the Presidential Press Unit.
So I call this section Chronicles of the PPU. At KBC, all news relating to presidential bore the exclusive seal of the Presidential Press Unit. The PPU stood as the sole authorized body responsible for president-related coverage, shaping the content and the duration of news associated with their activities. Located within KBC premises, the PPU radiated its influence from various locations, housing its valuable equipment on site to this day. The decision to prioritize president stories did not stem from external pressures or the corridors of power, but rather stood on as unwritten rule, a journalistic principle that placed presidential narratives at the forefront. Serving as diligent gatekeepers, the editors ensured that the president's tales graced the airwaves of the day's news. What is the role of PPU? One may ask. The Presidential Press Unit is a vital component of the media machinery in Kenya. It serves as a dedicated unit responsible for gathering, disseminating, and managing president's news and media coverage. The PPU operates within the premises of Kenya Broadcasting Corporation, utilizing the state-of-the-art equipment and technology to fill its role. So this section worked closely with State House. Of course, they have their offices at State House, but still we have a PPU unit in the newsroom. So the PPU plays a crucial role in shaping the narrative around the president's activities, speeches, and policy announcements. It ensures that the accurate and timely information reaches the public through various media channels, including radio, television, and the online platforms. The unit works closely with the President's Office, government officials, and media personnel to coordinate press briefing, interviews, and official engagements. In addition to its media function, the PPU also supports the President communication strategies and public relations efforts. It assists in crafting messages, coordinating public appearances, and managing the President's image and brand. The PPU works diligently to uphold transparency, accountability, and professionalism in its media operations, adhering to ethical standards and journalistic principles. We can go on and on.
Yes.
Yeah.
Wow. So you are there in the newsroom, and that is the Presidential Press Unit.
Yes, and before then I came on board. We met the Linjiru people who are coordinating that. So we mingle with such great people like him.
So you say there that sometimes people make mistakes. They used to make mistakes. And this is actually something that I also heard from my former head of station, Bill Odidi, saying that it's not that there was a directive from State House that you must make sure that the president's news comes first.
No. It just came automatic. It is, as I've said in my book, it was an unwritten rule. Nobody commanded that you should carry this story. And I've said in any system of the government or in governance, you know what you are required to do for you to deliver. Then you're supporting the system, as it were, if I may say so. So you'll carry stories, you'll use your editorial knowledge and the policy, the editorial policy to guide you. But you are never, it was not that you are forced to carry it. You are just gatekeepers to ensure that we are getting the right information from the government, and this is what the government is doing, and this is what they are carrying. So it was a top priority, a news item that the public should know. Because as a national broadcaster, ours is not to write stories to sell. Ours is to write stories to ensure that Kenya is safe and we are together. And also educating, because KBC to educate, inform and entertain. So that is our mandate. So we ensure that our role as editors, or my role as an editor then, was to ensure that that is met, and it is met from the right sources. So even other stories that we would carry would also liaise with the government officials to give us the right stories. Not to hide anything, but to give Kenyans the right information and what the government is doing. Because we wouldn't carry, if the president is somewhere in a place, he has gone there with a development agenda or with a policy that he wants to highlight. To pronounce on. And therefore it was our duty as the newsroom or the national broadcaster to ensure that is done. Yes.
Great. And Madam Mwakina, working in the newsroom as an editor behind the scenes, this was actually the dream.
I always had that desire to work with the Kenya Broadcasting Corporation, and I think that's what has kept me all these years, over 34 years, I'm still at KBC, because of that motto or that mandate of informing, educating, and entertaining, and mainly informing people and educating people. Why? Because I know knowledge is power, and that's why we go to school. And what pushed me more is to ensure that people are informed about their country. They're informed about other things, not only the country, because in the bulletins, there's always the local and national news, the sports, and many other areas. So that one, serving in that aspect as Evelyne, was my desire. That one just excited me. And so I had a passion to do that. And I didn't know much about KBC, but when I could see people, when I was young, I could see people on TV, were the only broadcaster then, I would want to be there, not as a broadcaster, but behind the scenes, because I've grown, and that's why I'm talking about breaking the barriers now. I'm a person who thrives in quietness behind the scenes. And when I serve, somehow I wouldn't want many people to know that I'm the one who has done ABC. So that itself put me out of the screen, because I wanted to do what was close to my heart, to serve quietly and to ensure that things behind the scenes are well, and even organize the broadcasters, the people who are broadcasting. In my role as a head of news, I was in charge of news readers. So we'd do interviews for them, we'd pick the best to ensure that whatever is being communicated by the right people with the right skill and the right talent. So that's what has kept me going and has kept me in KBC for such a long time.
I want you to just a little bit on page 141. My dream of excelling in education had finally become a reality.
Okay, that is a childhood dream. Before I read that one, this other...
You want to read the quote up there? The
quote says, "Believe in yourself, have faith in your abilities. Without a humble but reasonable confidence in your own powers, you cannot be successful or be happy." That is Norman Vincent Peale. So my dream of excelling in education had finally become a reality. Upon graduating, I had a clear vision of my next step, as I was resolute in my determination to work for the Kenya Broadcasting Corporation, KBC. It was formerly known as the Voice of Kenya, as it had always been my dream workplace and the sole media house at that time. My interest in journalism fostered by my involvement in the journalism club during the high school. I was in the journalism club during my high school days, and my studies in literature and Kiswahili at the university drew me towards a career in the media. Although I wasn't particularly interested in being a broadcaster, I was captivated by the behind-the-scenes work of writing and editing news stories. In those days, at the end of the program on the radio or TV, the names of those who had worked at the production would be posted on the screen or read on radio. It was quite intriguing for me that there were other people, script writers, editors, producers.
Wow, and you say there that you
and
found
then
solace.
I found solace in working in quietness and thrived in peaceful environments. The concept of informing, educating, and entertaining the public through the national broadcaster fascinated me, especially during a time when airwaves had not yet been liberalized. This concept, I want to clarify that one, that I find solace in working in quietness and thrived in peaceful environments. Peaceful environments can be a mindset, though, as I've grown to know now better, that you can be in a chaotic place but still be peaceful. So over the years, I've learned that, and I keep on working towards ensuring that that quietness of heart, that quietness of peacefulness within myself, doesn't matter the chaos outside. If you're focused to do something, if you're focused to achieve something, then you're able to do it even in chaotic environments. And that's why now I'm talking about breaking the barriers, because these are part of the barriers I've learned. Otherwise, if I was to remain just behind the scene, then I'll not be the corporate affairs manager, Kenya Broadcasting Corporation. So I've learned over time to trust in myself, to have confidence in God and in myself, and to have the demeanor that is in me, that quietness in me that helps me push things, because that's how I do it. I wouldn't want either to topple others or to make noise so that I achieve something. So that has helped me, and I've realized that that comes from within you, the quiet environment. Over time, I've learned that. And if you have peace of mind, then you are able to achieve what you want. And serving gracefully is my passion to others, to ensure that if I see Wanahenga doing well, I'm encouraged and I'm happy. And it gives me a lot of energies and a lot of hope when I interact with you, and I also help you achieve a goal or so, or help you get out of a problem or a challenge that you have. So that has been part of me. Should I continue reading?
Yes, I think up to the last paragraph,
Okay.
I was inspired by the idea.
Okay, I was inspired by the idea of acquiring new knowledge and sharing it with others, as well as opportunity to develop, guide, and mentor individuals. This conviction that I could achieve these goals by working at the national broadcaster led me to pray earnestly for a job there, and which I got. Deep down, I knew that this would be an incredible opportunity to be part of a team that will promote cohesion, unity, peace among Kenyans through the television and radio programs that will also spur economic development. I held a deep passion for this endeavor. And here I am, a few years to get out, but I am happy that I've achieved that goal.
And back in the day, your generation of Kenyans, if you had an A-level certificate or a university education, it was very easy.
Yes.
It was not very difficult to get a job, isn't it?
True. O-level, in fact, go back to O-level, because when I finished my O-level, my siblings, my elder brothers, who were like my parents to me, because we lost our parents. I lost my mom when I was in the university. They wanted, and having come from a big family and having been taught by our parents to pull together, they wanted me to drop out at Form 4. And there was a school which they wanted me to go and teach. But deep down my heart, I had a desire and I had a dream to go and study all the way to the university, because I was convicted within myself and through even our parents, because we saw them struggle, we saw them ensure that they took us to school. And my elder brother and brothers and sisters educated us to ensure that we achieved that. So when my time came for Form 4, I still had siblings below me. I'm the 10th born of the 15. There were others who were others were also by that time they were married and they had their own children. So they wanted me to go to teachers' college and first of all to start teaching so that we start getting the money to help us or educate these other ones. But deep down my heart, I wanted to go to the university. And therefore, when my letter came to go to Moi Girls, they let me go. After Moi Girls, they also wanted me to either now I can become a secondary school teacher, because my sisters, 3 of my sisters were teachers and 2 were nurses. So I humbly asked them that my desire is to go to the university. And if it is possible, they allow me to do that, which they did. And thank God to the help, because then we are getting help, loan to help us get education. And which I thank God that I was able to go to Kenyatta University and achieve my degree. Later on also achieve my master's in business administration and the diploma also.
If you are just tuning in, this is the Books Cafe on KBC English service, and I'm your host Khainga Okwemba. The Books Cafe is a cutting-edge program in the world of literature where we talk to writers and explore contemporary literary issues. And today, our guest, the Corporate Affairs Manager at Kenya Broadcasting Corporation, Mrs. Evelyne Mwakina. She comes onto the Books Cafe because she's the author of this wonderful memoir. It's called Breaking the Barriers. And you know, if Khainga tells you that it's a wonderful memoir, you got to have your copy, because this program has been on air for more than 10 years, and it means that Khainga reads books, bad books and good books. So if he tells you that this is
mine is a good book.
It's a wonderful book. Now, Ms. Mwakina, you know, I want you now to pick a part from your book that you had actually isolated to read.
Okay.
Yes.
Only a part?
Yeah, introduce the part that you're going to read.
Okay, the part, my last chapter, letter to my daughters.
You want to read that?
Yeah, it is so personal to me. It has values or lessons that have helped me grow. So I'm talking to the girl child, not only to girl child, but also to the boy child. And if you read my memoir, you'll see that I've also mentioned my son there. Anybody that thinks they don't have what it takes, or anybody that thinks, any vulnerable person. So the quote there says that let us all then leave behind letters of love and friendship, family. Page 225.
Page 205.
Yes.
Okay.
So let us all then leave behind letters of love and friendship, family and devotion, hope and consolation, so that future generations will know what we valued, believed, and achieved. That is by Marianne Wright Edelman. I think I should give a background of when you talk about breaking barriers and when you talk about empowered girl child.
Yes.
This is also, I'm now becoming personal as a girl child, because being a girl and the things that I've gone through, I want to encourage other girls and to an extension to other vulnerable people in the society to know that it is doable no matter what. So it doesn't matter if you want to dig more and get more of the details in this book, you can. So this letter extends beyond my daughters. I call them baby girl Flo and Shabby Chicks Joy, to encompass my nieces, mentees, and all spiritual daughters, wherever they may be. It serves as a heartfelt message to every girl child, offering intimate guidance. In this book, I've shared principles and insights to guide you. They will propel you to greater heights in every sphere of your life as you embrace and bind them in your hearts and minds. Remember that my story is not unique. So is yours as well as that of every other child. So to you, dear baby girl and chubby chicks, and to my firstborn son. My firstborn son is called Simeon, the first fruit of my womb, I call it. I cannot overlook mentioning you here, even though this letter is addressed to the daughters. So I can go to the lessons. Page 226 says this: in life's journey, you'll encounter diverse seasons, tears of joy and sorrows, lack and abundance, temptations and trials. Through it all, cling to faith and hope. God never sleeps nor slumbers. As you stand at the cusp of a better tomorrow, be aware that challenges will come, but you possess the strength to rise above. Trust in God, be brave, and face life's difficulties with confidence. Maintain your lane in this journey. Seek wisdom in difficult moments, and let God be your anchor. Have confidence in your strength with God by your side. Have faith in your dreams, pursuing them with excellence. And learn early to take control and responsibility for your decision. And then I am telling them to be guided by God's wisdom in Proverbs 3:5-6, that reminds us to trust in the Lord with all our hearts and lean not on our understanding. So I skip that and I go to another main lesson. Page 228, I'm quoting Tim Sanders, who says, your network is your net worth. So I want to underscore the importance of networking in your journey. In his book, Love is the Killer Application, How to Win Business and Influence Friends, Sanders emphasizes the value of building meaningful relationships, sharing knowledge, and genuinely caring for others. He suggests that one's network of relationship, both personal and professional, holds great significance and can have a direct impact on overall success and wealth. Therefore, let me take this opportunity to share that networking creates opportunities and propels one's career forward. Through networking, you can build meaningful connection, seek mentorship, and collaborate with individuals who share your own vision. However, I am telling them it is crucial to approach networking with caution and establish firm boundaries. In professional world, there may be instances where individuals will try to take advantage of your ambition and dreams. They may make false promises or requests inappropriate favors in exchange for advancement. In those moments, remember to stand tall, rooted in your values and principles. Your worth and potential are not defined by compromising situation or giving in to the demands of others. And it goes on and on and on. My main message to the youth or to people who are pursuing career advancement, the message here is it is good to have relationships or people who can help you grow or networks that can help you grow. But you have to take it with a pinch of salt because sometimes you can be taken advantage of. And sometimes you have to let go of some of these opportunities if you find that people are pricking your values, because ultimately, drawing from my experience, I've realized that you don't have to sell your most valuable values to get a job or to get a promotion. In God's time, if you are focused, if you are hardworking, if you are upgrading your skills, you will achieve it. But what I've realized from experience is that people who compromise, the ending might not be good. So it is good to be patient. So I'd wish to encourage people to be resilient enough and to persevere, because ultimately God will come through for them.
Great, Mrs. Mwakina. As we come to the end of this program, you've worked at Kenya Broadcasting Corporation for the last 34 years or more.
Yes.
I guess in any work environment there are challenges.
Yes.
But your own story, just looking at your story, I think the fact that you've actually been at the national broadcaster for 34 years, that in itself is a story of inspiration. How are you able to manage? Does it mean that you never came across any challenges? And if you did, what would you say? What are some of these things that you tell people that this is what you need to do, that challenges are there? What are some of these values that would actually make you work for an organization for more than 30 years?
Yes. I go back, first of all, to God helping you and having the right mindset, and a mindset that will help you nurture values like discipline, focus, knowing your times, your seasons, and upgrading your skills, and also associating yourself with the right people and the right groups. Even in a place of work, it's not about all of us. It's about you. Why did I come to KBC? What did I want to achieve? As you have heard, I had a dream. I had a desire to work with Kenya Broadcasting. And when I was dreaming, I was alone, maybe with God. God guiding my thoughts, God guiding my passion. Because as we know, God's purpose for all of us, He doesn't just put a seed in us or a desire in us or a passion in us. So when you realize you are there, and you have to know your environment, have time for yourself and reflect. Don't just do work without reflecting. Ensure that even as you're working, are you going towards the direction that you wanted?
Breaking the Barriers, the memoir of Evelyne Mwakina. I was your host, Khaingo Kwemba. Until next time, it's goodbye for now.
You've been listening to The Books Cafe on KBC English Service.